Welcome to the Fire and Earth podcast with your hosts, Jason Mefford and Kathy Gruber. Fire and Earth, giving you the keys to unlock your limitless potential.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Fire and Earth podcast. I'm your co-host, Kathy Gruber.
And I'm Jason Mefford. And today we're going to do one of the fun little episodes again where we just talk about a question. Now, it's always fun because, if you've been listening to us for a while, you never know where we're going to go. And sometimes what sounds like or starts off as a silly kind of question can actually get pretty deep. And, one of the things that I like about these two is, there's a saying in NLP that the quality of your life depends on the quality of the questions that you ask. So,
Yep.
As we're going through this too, like I said, there's a deeper purpose to it, right? So maybe ask yourself some of these questions as well, so that you can learn more about yourself. Because the more we know about ourselves, the better our life ends up being too. And especially when, sometimes we just finally admit certain things that we've been unwilling to admit about ourselves, and just actually embrace it and go with our strengths. So Kathy, what's our question for today that we're getting into?
The question today is, are you neat or messy?
Are you neat or messy?
Mm-hmm.
Now, both of those words, you could interpret that question differently, but I know where it's trying to go.
Yeah.
But so just right off the bat, I would say I am a neat person.
Mm-hmm. So interestingly, my assistant, when I had her type all of these questions in, because again, these came from like a journal that had a prompt, and then it had 5 years where you could write your answer down and kind of compare how you develop over the years. Because I agree, the more you know about yourself, not only does that help you get to know others, but it ups your emotional intelligence the more you know yourself. So apparently I had answered this one, and what I gave her this instruction to write all these questions down. She didn't know not to write my answers down too. So for half a year, she also wrote my answer down, which is kind of interesting to go back and read. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. Anyway, I actually have, and I think the answer stands true today. I am neatly messy. Neatly messy. So I'm a piler, not a filer. When I'm done with stuff, I'm all about filing it. I want it alphabetized. I want it color-coded, Capricorn. But in the meantime, I'm a pile maker. So I've got the file folder things where you slide stuff in. And so I have each one of those. Now it looks like shit. I swore today, one. It looks like there's stuff everywhere on my desk, but I know exactly where it is. So I'm a piler, not a filer. And for people who, like when we had Sarah Caputo on talking about organizational stuff, some people I don't do well with files because I put it away and then I never look at it again. So if it's something for me that's active or that I'm currently working on or that I use frequently, I got to have it in a pile. So yeah, I guess I'm neatly messy, or messily neat.
Well, and so maybe I'm a little bit more like that too, in one way, because I like things neat. I like it tidy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like a clean house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a person that takes off my clothes and leaves them on the ground. They go in the hamper.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everything, a place for everything and everything in its place.
Yes.
But I am kind of like you in that way too, but I have knickknacks is maybe a good way of calling it, right? So I have a lot of different knickknacks. And so my wife always gets on me about it being cluttered. She feels it's cluttered. And it's like, no, it's not cluttered. I have all these little things there to remind me of different things.
Yep.
And I do leave certain things out on purpose to remind me to do it.
Yep.
Right. And so Allie is even much more neat than I am. And so what'll happen sometimes is I leave something out to remind me that I need to do this. And all of a sudden,
did she put it away?
She puts it away. It's gone.
No, don't move my shit.
It's gone.
That's true. That was my prime mantra as a kid. My mom used to do that. I'd spread out my homework so I knew what I'd have to do, and I'd go to dance class, come back. She would have thrown it away. I'm like, what do you not get about math homework? Yeah, don't touch my shit. That's my, yeah.
So your excuse to your teacher when you would go in, instead of my dog ate my homework, it was my mom threw it away.
My anal retentive neat freak mom threw my homework away. She would like undo the stuff that I'd lay, like if I was working on a paper, I'd lay it all out, and I'd take over the dining room table, which we never ate at anyway, and she was forever putting stuff away that I was in the middle of. It drove me absolutely crazy. So to your point about knickknacks, okay, because if you look at my office, or well, the house, I mean, it looks like a museum, right? Yeah. So is it really a neat, messy thing, or is it a minimalist thing?
Ooh, yeah, because I think there is a difference between the two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because my ex said, if there's an open space, I'll put a thing in it, and everything has to look like a display or an altar. Like I arrange things like it's a display in a museum, and it drove him crazy because he was fine with open shelf space, and I'm like, but there's good space there. I could put that skunk. Like, why would I not put that there? So
especially since we know you have lots of skunks.
I have lots of skunks. So I mean, like even now I'm looking at my bookshelf, and there's one shelf that has all the books stacked because they're all blue. And then I have stuff placed around it that kind of matches the themes of the book.
Okay. So there's another one, right? Because I've noticed, like I have my bookshelf over here. I've got several bookshelves.
Oh no, how we arrange books and CDs?
Yeah, because people are different in that way too, right? I mean, I've noticed a lot of people will do the books based on color coding, kind of like what you were referring to, right? So there's a lot of the blue books that are together. So that way they get like this nice little aesthetic on the bookshelf. Now, to me, that drives me nuts because I prefer to have the books more kind of like in the library, where it's like, okay, I know these are kind of leadership books, and these are more kind of like spiritual books, and these are like business books, right? And then I kind of put them in a similar area, but then I do kind of sort them based on size within that. But then I know, hey, that book on happiness that I have, it's going to be over in one of these two bookshelves, right? So then I can go over and I can kind of scan through and I can see it. So that's kind of how I do it, so that it makes sense to me so that I can find it.
I'm laughing my ass off because all those blue books are the same subject.
They just happen to all be blue.
I have other blue books that are not in that stack because they are not the same subject.
Okay, so you do by subject too.
I do by subject. Well, and here at the house, I mean, we have so little space. We're literally in like 400 square feet. So there's no book. We don't have bookcases around with books in them. I used to have so many bookcases. Like when I had like bigger apartments, I would have walls of just books, and all those are either gone or in, boxes now. But there's one built-in bookcase that came with just in the house. And so I have like 2-3 shelves of couple shelves of books, and they're sorted by subject. But there happens to be that one shelf. It's just they all happen to be blue and in the same thing. Now, in my office where I have tons of books, they're by category. I have my nutrition books, I have the massage books, I have the homeopathic books, I have the, yeah. I had a friend that arranged all her CDs by color. I'm like, how do you find anything?
Well, why even have CDs anymore? I've got everything.
Well, this was a long time ago. Yeah. Okay, I still like my CDs. Don't get on me about the CDs.
I know. Well, the artwork, that is the one thing that I do miss about having LPs or CDs, is the artwork. But yeah.
So here's the question though. So we're talking about, are we neat or messy? And like with the cartoons and everything else, we have to get deeper. So what does this say about our personality? Is this how our brain works? That our brain organizes things in that certain way? And for people who just toss everything on the desk and write notes on Kleenex, and like, what does that say about their brain? Is this how we function in the world?
Well, and this is something about our personality as well, and as we've been talking about this, it's like, okay, here's how you and I do it, but there really is no right or wrong way necessarily either, right? We all kind of think in a different way. Because I remember, somebody on my team, he was doing some work and he's like, I don't know where to put this file, or where did you put that file, right? Well, to me, it makes perfect sense because we've got a whole file structure, sequence on our network drive. So I know exactly, clients are under this area, different products, or they're by the product name and then all the stuff underneath it. So to me, it makes perfect sense, but because his brain works a little bit different, right? He's like, I have to figure out what Jason tried to do here, right?
Mhm.
And just like, the minimalistic versus neat, there's no right or wrong way, right? But obviously when you're living with somebody or you're a partner with somebody, if one is a minimalist, the other is a neat messy, is that what you called it, or
Neatly messy,
neatly messy,
or just a collector. I mean, there's that. I
Yeah.
just like things that, like when we talk about what's on my desk, what's on our desk. I like the things that everything I have reminds me of something. I can tell you where I got it, why I have it, who gave it to me. Same thing in my office. It's like a museum, because I like having those mementos around. So yeah, I mean, to your point with the computer stuff, it's the same thing. What does your desktop look like?
Mm-hmm.
My desktop has files that are very specifically organized. I know exactly what sub file goes in that sub file. I know how to find stuff. Same thing with my email. I don't have 18,000 things in my inbox. I have everything arranged by folder because that's how I find things. To me, it's about convenience at that point.
But yeah, I'm sure that there is, I haven't thought about it in that way, but I'm sure that it does show something about our personality and about how our brain works as well. I mean,
Yeah.
Obviously, like you mentioned, it's no surprise, right? Capricorn, right? You're gonna probably do things in a certain way, but not necessarily every Capricorn is going to be that way either, right? And so, it does say, something about you, and obviously, I mean, again, for me, it's like I just like to be reminded of certain things, and so that's why I leave some of the stuff out. And it's kind of like museum-ish. And I mean, in one of my apartments that I had, I had like this whole wall with just all these different knickknacks that I had created, or that I gathered from my travels all around the world. Now, for the most part, they're in a box in the garage, right? Because that's clutter to my wife. So we don't have a lot of that stuff out now.
Right.
And that's just where I'm at now. But in my office, I do whatever the fuck I want, right?
One for you.
One for me. Okay. Another episode coming on that, probably do in the future. That's an inside joke that you guys might not get. But
you might have to catch the next episode.
Laugh with us anyway. So yeah, and it's even another place to go on this too, because I've been thinking about words as well too. And when you say, are you neat or messy, right? I mean, obviously there's a certain emotion that goes along with messy to me, right? because I've lived with people who are messy, and I don't like that, right? Neat, has this order to it. And hey, I'm a Leo, right? I like order as well, right? But it's interesting too, because that word neat has more than one meaning, right? You're a neat person, Kathy. If I say that, I'm not necessarily talking about your orderliness, right? And so I like to think, well, yeah, I would identify more with being a neat guy too. Right. As well. And so, because that's where I've been thinking too, is a lot of times the words that we use, they have slightly different meanings to different people.
Yeah.
Right. Even the word messy and neat, what you and I might consider to be messy.
Yes.
Or neat, to somebody else is going to be completely different, right? To somebody
100%.
that we might look at and say, oh my gosh, they're messy. But they're like, no, I'm neat. Look at the hoarders, right? When you watch hoarders on TV, that's messy, right?
Yep. I had to use that defense with my ex. He'd say, there's shit everywhere. I'm like, have you? And we, by no means, I mean, by nobody's definition, would it be considered shit everywhere? That's what 5 for me. And I would say, have you ever actually seen a messy house? Like, I've been in people's homes where you can't walk on the floor, but that was a perception thing for him. He was a minimalist. He wanted everything put away before my shoes got off my feet, get them out of the middle of the floor. It was borderline OCD. Those darn Virgos. But yeah, so much of that is perception too. Like, I know exactly where everything is on my desk, but others might walk over and go, oh crap, I can't find a thing. This is terrible. I think we have to do what works for us as far as an organizational system. If you can have 17,000 emails in your inbox and still find what you need to respond to, great. Wouldn't work for me.
Well,
So it
I
has
think
to be that customizing thing, right?
yeah, because I think it brings up, another, maybe one of the big learnings from today too, right? Is you got to do what works for you, but we've also got to be understanding and allow what works for other people.
Right.
Right.
What if it isn't working for them? What if they have 17,000 emails in their inbox and they can't find anything? And they're forever late, and there's things that are dropping through the cracks because they don't have an organizational system, and you have to work with that person.
Well, then it's probably time to decide about making some changes in their life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because that's the thing, and that's with any personal development and self-evolvement, if you will, right? Is there's really no good, there's no bad.
Right.
There's just like with habits, right? There's no good habits, there's no bad habits necessarily that we've talked about before. That meth. Okay, well, maybe that's a bad habit if you do that.
Just on weekends. Just on the weekends.
But if it no longer serves you, right, then that's probably something that you should change. And so, yeah, if somebody, if their productivity has gone down, if their stress levels are going up because they just can't find anything and it's causing them a bunch of anxiety.
Yeah.
And okay, maybe that's an area of your life where, you can learn how to, there's lots of different videos and books and other stuff out there about things like organization.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, there's TV shows like crazy on it. And that's, go watch a few of those and all of a sudden you'll have totally new ideas, right? And my house gets rearranged certain times because of certain shows that have been watched.
Right. Well, and to that point, it's also about what? Collaboration. So, when you're a bachelor and when I was living by myself, I could do whatever the hell I wanted. If I wanted to leave my shoes in the middle of the floor, I would. When you start living with a partner or you partner up with someone in business or you join up with a new company, there has a certain amount of adaptation and collaboration in the systems. Right. I no longer can just leave my shit everywhere because I have a partner who lives with me now in a very small house. So we've had to adapt to what space can he put his things in, what space can I put my things in, and how can we meld our things, and how is there an equality and a fairness in our home? Same thing with offices and organization too. If you can't find anything and I need you to do this job, then something has to change so that we can work together on that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where like you said, there's compromise, there's other stuff that needs to come into it, because and it doesn't, equality or fairness does not necessarily mean equal distribution either, right?
Yeah.
So like in our closet, I do not have equal distribution of space.
Nor should you.
No, nor should I, right? But I also don't need it.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, and that's part of just, working through the relationships and, being with the people that you're with, either in your personal or business life as well.
Yeah. Cool. Hey, another great episode where we had no clue where it was going to go. I love it. So ask yourself that question. Are you neat? Are you messy? Are you messily neat or neatly messy? Are you a minimalist? How do you organize your life? And do you need to make a change in that? Is everything convenient for you? Do you need to help adapt somebody else? Do you need to adapt to somebody else's, not necessarily demands, but what they require so that it's a harmonious home and a structured workplace? So, yeah, cool.
Absolutely.
You're neat.
Yeah, thanks. I think you're neat too.
Thanks. My dad loved that word. That's neat. Yeah, that's
Isn't
neat.
that neat? That's neat.
That's neato. Cool. All right, I'm going to throw in one more shit so that I can have 7 for the next episode. All right, I'm Kathy Groover. I can be reached at kathygroover.com.
And I'm Jason Mefford. I can be reached at jasonmefford.com. So go out, have a great week, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Fire and Earth Podcast. See ya.
See ya.